discovered China. In 1703, China's Emperor Kangxi began building the Chengde Mountain Retreat along the Yan Mountains in northern China. At almost the same time, Britain's Duke of Buckingham began building Buckingham Palace, which later became the official residence of the British monarchy. In April of the same year, Russian Tsar Peter I built the Peter and Paul Fortress in the then capital of the Russian Empire, St. Petersburg. Perhaps it was mere coincidence that these three major structures came to be in the same year. However, while the other two palaces were built in the hearts of their respective capitals, the Chengde Mountain Retreat was secluded, hidden between mountains, rivers, and valleys. The Chengde Mountain Retreat is situated in Chengde City, Hebei Province. Several Qing emperors came here during the summer. This mammoth complex, consisting of palaces, gardens, and temples, took 89 years to complete. Most of its scenic locations were named by Emperor Kangxi and Qianlong themselves. Emperor Kangxi was an emperor of both civil and military prowess. Greatly familiar with China's traditions and Western science, Kangxi brought the throne brilliant achievements on the battlefields and displayed outstanding administrative skills. He brought the Qing dynasty into an era of peace and prosperity. After the Chengde Mountain Retreat was completed, he stayed there for 6 months out of the year, conducting various government affairs. It was a precious time of peace for China's northern borders. China, under Kangxi's reign, had gradually become a unified country of numerous ethnicities. Kangxi was dubbed the Great Kangxi in honor of his achievements. The Chengde Mountain Retreat rests 230 kilometers away from the Forbidden City in Beijing. Many were curious. Why did Kangxi build his retreat in the distant mountains? 1689, the Qing government signed the Treaty of Nerchinsk with Tsarist Russia. Although the treaty was significant in determining the Sino-Russian borders, Emperor Kangxi was still wary. He knew that the treaty would not end Russia's threat to China's northern borders. He concluded that the Russians would inevitably attack northern China. How could he shield those borders? After the treaty was signed, a memo concerning the decaying condition of the Great Wall was issued to the emperor. It occurred to Kangxi that despite the Great Wall, his forefathers entered mainland China and defeated the Ming Empire. If it could not defend China against the northern tribes, certainly it could not daunt the Russian armies. Kangxi realized his strength laid in the unity of his country. Other than the Great Wall, he set out to create a living defensive line, using the swift and ferocious Mongolian cavalry. Was held. Kangxi would lead tens of thousands of troops from Gubei-Kou to the Mulan hunting grounds. After rendezvousing with the Mongolian soldiers, the hunt commenced. This was not a mere recreational activity for the imperial court. It was an elaborate military exercise, which Kangxi used to display his power to his allies. The Mongolian kings would learn of the Qing military might, augmented by Kangxi's riding and archery skills. This tour de force quashed any mutinous minds. Emperor Kangxi also employed varied political strategies, such as intermarriages between the Mongolian nobles. Additionally, he conferred titles, formed alliances, and provided aids to win over the Mongolian tribes. Alliance between the Qing dynasty and the Mongolian clans was forged in northern China, forming a heavily shielded frontier. To further strengthen his ties with the Mongolians, Kangxi decided to build his own fortress in Yanshan. He wanted to forge a tangible defensive line into the heart of Mongolia. Because of the fort's strategic importance, Kangxi not only chose the location himself, but also designed and oversaw its construction. In the year 1711, Emperor Kangxi, by then ruling China for 50 years, confidently and proudly stepped into the imperial retreat he himself had crafted. In this unique atmosphere, Kangxi perfected his political and military skills. Years later, Kangxi passed away. In 1741, his grandson, Emperor Qianlong, began expanding the retreat, making it a symbol of China's unity. Emperor Kangxi named 36 scenic locations in the retreat. After ascending the throne, Emperor Qianlong added 36 scenic areas which he named. Gate was the centerpiece. Written in Manchu, Tibetan, Chinese, Uyghur, and Mongolian, this gate was a rarity in those days. The use of 5 different languages to name the gate bolstered the position of the Qing dynasty as a diverse, multicultural kingdom. The 20th year of his reign, Emperor Qianlong crushed the long-standing Zhungar separatist regime in northwest China. Out of concern for the Zhungar minority groups, Qianlong ordered the construction of the Puning Temple in the retreat. It was designed to resemble Tibetan Buddhist temples so that minority groups could hold their religious ceremonies there. Most of the northern minority groups were Tibetan Buddhists. Offering religious freedom became a part of Qianlong's policy of aligning with those groups. The Puto Dzongcheng Temple is the most magnificent temple in the retreat. The temple was modeled after the Potala Palace in Tibet, thus earning the moniker Little Potala Palace. This was another one of Qianlong's shrewd moves to augment his authority over the minority groups. In 1778, one of Tibet's political and religious leaders, the 6th Panchen Lama, was invited to Qianlong's 70th birthday celebrations held in Chengde. Qianlong placed great importance on the event. The Panchen's visit would serve to demonstrate the Qing government's authority. To properly receive the Tibetan leader, Qianlong built the Sumeru Fu Shou Temple in the likeness of Tibet's Ta Xiu Hun Po Monastery. It was a perfect blend of Tibetan and Chinese architecture. Surprised, Qianlong greeted him in fluent Tibetan. The Panchen's eastbound visit to Chengde had since strengthened the relationship between Tibet and the Qing government. Emperor Qianlong built 7 other temples in the retreat: the Puyou, Anyuan, Pule, Arhan, Shuxiang, Guanan, and the Guangyuan Temple. Each temple was constructed in different styles, combining Chinese and Tibetan architecture. By the emperor's tribute to cultural diversity, the tribal leaders became loyal allies to the throne. After the completion of the retreat, emperors would often give audiences to various ethnic leaders, tightening the bond between the Qing government and the Mongolian tribes. Gradually, the Chengde Mountain Retreat became a political and military hub second only to the Forbidden City. It was considered by many to be a microcosm of China. The Chengde Mountain Retreat grounds consists of lakes in the southeast, mountains in the northwest, and vast grasslands in the northeast. The palaces in the south form the main section of the complex. In those palaces, emperors dealt with government affairs, issued decrees, and held important ceremonies. A summer getaway for the Imperial family, the mountain retreat was completely different from the Forbidden City. built in a simple yet elegant manner. This sharp contrast between the Imperial Palace and the retreat demonstrated the emperor's determination of devoting time to national affairs. The lakes in the retreat represented southern China. The Bay of Good Wishes, the Tower of Mist and Rain, and the Golden Mountain Island were all identical replicas of the structures found in southern China's gardens. Walls built along the mountain in the north symbolized the Great Wall in northern China. These mountains were the largest in the mountain retreat. The retreat sits high in the west and low in the north, mimicking China's terrain. The Chengde Mountain Retreat was an influential center, helping unite China's various ethnic groups. A model of Chinese imperial gardens, the architecture of the retreat blends into its natural surroundings. China's northern winds have blown away the stories of the past. Yet the lakes, mountains, and temples in the mountain retreat remain. For centuries, it had stood quietly in the remote mountains, embodying China's history and culture in this shielded frontier.